I spent years living all the way in the box, afraid to step out, afraid to truly grab hold of my dream. And now I am breaking through, and I invite you to join me.
Your breakthrough starts now. Coming up on today's show, get ready to be inspired and transformed with our featured guests. Find out what's trending and get advice on life's daily challenges with Erica's top tips of the day. All of this and so much more coming up, so stay tuned. This is your one-stop shop for inspiration. The Erica Latrice Show. And now, here's your host, Erica.
Hello and welcome to the Erica Latrice Show. This is your one-stop shop for inspiration. And I almost could say this is your three-stop shop for inspiration, because on today's show, I have three powerhouse guests in the Be Inspired Cafe. And as you can see, our topic for today is finding your voice and stepping out. And one of our guests today is literally the epitome of what it means to refine your voice. Her story is so powerful, along with our other two guests. And what I'm sharing with you today is one power key to help you step out in a way like never before. So I want you to join the conversation. This is a great way to win. All you got to do is comment. This is also a great time to share, invite a friend, tag a friend. So my challenge for you today, my question for you today is, what does it mean to you to stand out? When you hear stand out, when you think about how you can stand out, what does it mean to you to stand out? So that is my challenge for you. You have about 30 seconds to join in the discussion. And then when I come back, I'm jumping straight into our top tips of the day. So stay tuned.
Get ready for all new episodes of the Erica Latrice Show. You can join me weekdays at 2 o'clock Eastern across social media at Erica Empowers. That's Erica spelled like America. If you have a message that you want to share on the show, email us right now at info@ericalatrice.com or visit online at ericalatrice.com/be on the show.
All right, welcome back. So I want to add an extra discussion. Coffee or tea? I'm just curious because I'm always bringing my swig cup. Shout out to my best friend, Ashley, for getting me this for my birthday. And I wonder, what do you have in your cup? Do you just vote coffee or tea? So I wanted to jump in because talking about finding your voice and stepping out can sound like something so simple, but it's something that stops so many people from maximizing their lives. And I've had guests in recent weeks that have shared stories of great losses, stories of great victories, but what never fails is at the end of the day, we all look back and say, did I make the most of what I had? And the way that you can find yourself not doing that is simply by listening to too many other voices. Now, I know I'm sharing my voice and giving you encouragement today, but what I mean by that is too often we allow the voices of others, the opinions of others, the thoughts of others to silence us. And my challenge for you today, my goal for you today is that you no longer spend another moment downplaying yourself, shrinking back, playing small out of fear of what others may think. And I'm using this show as an episode because let me tell you, I've had so many speed bumps getting to this point. So many people in my ear, so many people thinking that what I was doing wasn't going to work or wasn't a good fit or wasn't a good decision. And I just kept thinking about the stories that would inspire other people, that would encourage other people. And every time that I receive a message, an email, a text, or anything of someone that a story resonated with, it reminds me of the power of a voice. So speaking of the power of the voice, I'm jumping straight into the Be Inspired Cafe with our special guest, Galit. Her story is literally talking about losing her voice and how that affected her in her life and how it affected her in stepping back into her purpose. And so welcome with me into the Be Inspired Cafe today, our first guest, Galit. How are you doing?
Hi, Erica. Thank you for having me. I love that introduction into the voice.
Yay. Yes. Your story is one that has inspired me already, and I haven't even dug in and started
You're
asking.
So great.
Yeah. So
Thank
can you tell us just a little bit about that, how you were able to get to where you're at? And what I mean when I say that you literally had to regain.
I know, right? Usually when you say I found my voice or I lost my voice, people are like, oh, what do you mean? You didn't speak up for yourself. For me, it was literal. This is not the voice I was born with. So the short version is at the age of 7, I woke up one morning without a voice. Big deal, right? You lost it. You screamed too much. You got a cold. Well, after a bunch of doctors, what happened was we found out I had a nodule growth on one of my vocal cords. The good news is it was benign, so it wasn't dangerous. So if you imagine 2 vocal cords with a little bump, whenever I speak, I got air instead of voice. So from the age of 7 to 13, which is one of the most awkward times for a young girl, I actually spoke in a whisper, and it was like this. I sounded like this. So after 5 years of speech therapy, one day when I was 13 in speech therapy, we were practicing octaves, and the speech therapist said, stop, speak. And I literally that day felt my voice come out of my chest. And what happened in that situation was, after seeing doctors, they wanted me to have surgery when I was 16 to have the nodule removed. And when I went back when I was 16, I looked at my mom and I looked at the doctor and I'm like, nope, I'm good. He goes, what do you mean? You don't want to be normal? You don't want to sound normal? I said, I'm sorry, but this voice has molded me for the last 9 years. I walk in front of people, I walk behind people and they turn around and say, Galit, is that you? By my voice, right? And so I went through a lot as a young child. Obviously, kids are very mean when you're different. And they bullied me for my voice, and that made it worse because when I was nervous, less voice came out. And then when I finally found my voice, literally when I was 13, now it changed again. So you go through a lot as a child and you grow up pretty quick with those experiences.
Yes, and something that's so incredible about your story, and I'm sure many people can relate to this, the very thing that would have caused most people anguish, the very thing that you said that could have caused you to be bullied, to get told to, hey, like, shouldn't you just sit down, is actually what your gift is in right now. It's the exact thing that you do as a professional speaker. So how can you share with us, just how did you get the confidence to actually step out in the very area that you received the most challenges in?
To be honest with you, Erica, I'm still trying to find the confidence, but you know how we fake it till we make it. So basically what happened is I had to realize it really wasn't about me. It wasn't about, I would prefer staying behind the computer. I own a very successful commercial real estate company, and I'm very blessed to do very well financially, but it wasn't about me. It was about the fact that I had this purpose, and my purpose was to inspire and motivate women to show them that they could be successful in their businesses, that they could be successful in their lives, and that they could embrace who they were and share that gift with the world. So my story really is, I kind of fell into it by accident, I swear. It was an accident. People started asking me when I came out with my online business 4 years ago as a coach, and I wrote my first book. They said to me, Galit, will you come speak? And it started in front of 5 people. Then it was 10 people. And it just kind of grew. And then the next thing I knew, I was like, wait, people want to hear me speak. Let me apply to get paid. And all of a sudden, corporations were flying me to speak at their events. And it just kind of blew up. And I just got signed with a speaking agency last week. So it just kept getting bigger and bigger. And I realized I had to get over myself. And that's pretty much what I tried to do.
So I want to talk to that because I know a lot of times we can feel like we need to have everything perfect. Let me get every duck in a row. Let me be at Oprah level before I even start. Instead, I love that in your story, it was by starting that the opportunities came. So what advice would you give to someone that's kind of like hesitating on stepping out, or they don't necessarily want to fake it until they make it? They're like, I'll make it and then I'll take it. So what advice do you have for them?
So the first thing I'm going to say is perfection doesn't exist. Get over it. I was a self-professed perfectionist and a control freak, and I had to just get over it. And that's about the time that your world turns completely upside down. Everything, your personal life, your business life. I mean, it's just crazy. And then we try to grasp onto anything we can that's logical, and there just isn't a lot at that time. So you've got to step back. And usually what I tell my clients when they're trying to figure out what they're supposed to do with their life and their purpose is, it's really right here. Just like you said, Erica, the one thing that God took away from me, this is not the voice I was born with, this is the voice I was given after, is the one thing that I'm supposed to use to change the world, make an impact, and be positive. So I think for me, because I'm such a giver and I want to produce change in this world, for me, it was recognizing it wasn't about what was comfortable and what was easy. It was about what was my purpose and my passion and what was I meant to do. And that's really the first step. What was I meant to do? And do you want to do it? Because you always have a choice. Stay in your little bubble, stay comfortable, be happy. If that's what's good for you, don't change. But no matter what I did, it kept showing up until I took that path and I followed it.
Yes, I love that you just said that, because I was having this conversation with my daughter. I was going to say my 12-year-old. She's a teen. She's a teen now. She just turned 13 a few days ago. But she was saying, she was just talking about what she wants to be when she grows up. And she looked at me and said, well, I know what everyone else tells me I should be, which is a basketball player, a model, because she looks like she's like 6'3" at the age of 12. And then she said, but this is what I really want. And it was so eye-opening to me, because my immediate response to her was, whatever you want, try it and see what you like. But so often we allow other people's thoughts, like, oh, you make a great this, or you're really good at this. And we miss exactly what you just said. What do you feel good about? What do you feel drawn to? What are you passionate about? So I have 1,000 other questions for you, but we do have 2 other guests. We're bringing Galit back for our final thoughts. But before we do that, can you tell us what you have available right now and how we can get connected with you and support what you're doing?
Oh, thank you so much. Well, you can find me across all social medias. And I also have my website at Galit Ventura Rosen. What I'm focused on right now is showing women how to get more clients by being visible and using their voice. That's really what I do with my clients.
Yes, you are like, I'm just going to steal her right now. If anyone didn't amplify her, then we just found our new soul sister.
You're the best. Thank you, Erica.
Yes, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, I have 2 other powerhouses in the Be Inspired Cafe. And today's show is all about stepping out, using your voice, and finding ways to not shrink back and play small. So don't go anywhere. This is your one-stop shop for inspiration. If you want to win today's giveaway, all you got to do is comment. And my question for you today is, how are you going to stand out? How are you willing to stand out? Just answer it wherever you're watching live, Periscope, Facebook, YouTube, and you might just be our giveaway winner for the day. I'll be right back.
If you're watching this, so are your potential clients. I'm excited to announce an all-new season of The Erica Latrice Show. It's coming up right now, and we're looking for featured guests as well as sponsors. If you want to be a success supporter of this show, connect with our team right now by emailing info@ericalatrice.com to get more information, or just support the mission of Be Inspired, to empower and inspire people all around the world with a message of hope and encouragement. Our mission is to bring you uplifting news and talk to encourage and share a platform for those who have a powerful message and looking for a place to share it. If you want to partner with the Erica Latrice Show, you can do so by emailing info@ericalatrice.com or visit ericalatrice.com/sponsor so that you can be a success supporter of this inspirational movement.
Welcome back. We are jumping right back into the Be Inspired Cafe. My next guest coming up, if you've ever thought about your purpose, if you've ever thought about getting uncomfortable just a little bit or a lot, then you are in the right place today with our powerhouse, Lindsay, who is sharing her journey into entrepreneurship as well as helping you to step out in your purpose. So welcome into the Be Inspired Cafe. How are you doing today, Lindsay?
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Well, I'm excited to just talk a little bit about purpose and talk about the stepping out piece of this, because sometimes we can get stuck not knowing our path, not knowing what we're called to do. So tell us just a little bit about yourself and how you got into the place that you're in now, helping people journey into happiness and personal development.
Yes, how I stepped into my purpose. Actually, I have to take it back to May 2007. And what happened was I found myself waking up in a completely dark room. I went to move and I couldn't move. I went to speak out and call out and I couldn't speak. And so in my head, I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I'm tied up in some psycho's basement. But I panicked so much that I exhausted myself out. I was like, because what else do you do in a moment like that? Here I was, I had no clue where I was, couldn't speak, couldn't talk, couldn't move. And I passed out from my panic. So the next day I woke up and I'm thinking to myself, like, oh my goodness, this was a crazy nightmare, only to slowly realize that I still didn't know where I was. I still couldn't talk, still couldn't see, and still couldn't move. However, before I could panic again, a lady walks up to me and starts explaining what had occurred an entire week ago in my life. So what happened was the car that I was driving flipped multiple times end over end before going off the opposite side of the highway and landing upside down. I was pronounced brain dead on the scene, was flown by Lifeline helicopter to a trauma hospital where again I was pronounced brain dead. Wasn't expected to make it through the night. And she's telling me this long list of injuries. And to top it all off, I was paralyzed. So 1 minute I'm minding my business. The next thing I'm waking up to being told I was brain dead and paralyzed. And there was a tube down my throat keeping me alive.
Wow. And I always find it, I'm getting chills. I was getting chills as Galit was sharing too, because we never know like how our paths are going to intertwine. But what I think is so interesting is that with you both so far, you have a story where the very tools, the very thing that you use right now to be a blessing to other people is the biggest challenge, the biggest obstacle that came against you. So I'm just like, I'm like, wow, Lindsay. So when you came out of this situation, tell us, how was that? How did you get to this place now where you made a decision that in coming through that, I have so many questions, but in coming through that, how did you get to a place where you said, not only am I getting beyond this from being paralyzed, but I'm also going to reach back and help other people?
Yes. So in that moment, I realized two things. I could either be a victim to my circumstances or be a victor over my obstacles. And so I chose the latter, and that's what I set my intentions on doing. So I knew that that's not the life that I wanted for myself. I didn't want to be in a wheelchair. I didn't want to depend on other people to bathe me and feed me and things like that. So how do I create a first-class life full of purpose, fulfillment, and happiness that I want to live? And so I wanted to walk. And that's what I set my intentions on. And because of that, I was able to walk out of the hospital in exactly 1 month's time. It was more like a wobble, but I was still up and at 'em nonetheless. So there was the physical recovery, and then there was the emotional recovery. And that's the part that really led me to my purpose, because people were calling me Miracle Woman and Walking Miracle. Like, those are direct quotes that people all over were saying about me. And I didn't feel good enough to be that person. And so a lot of emotions came up on the emotional roller coaster during the recovery. And that's when I realized, as I was healing myself, that so many other people were dealing with their own feelings of not feeling good enough, the fear of failure, the fear of rejection from their own life experiences. And that's when I realized what my true purpose was.
I love how you share that with the fear of failure. And there's a fear of so many other things. But having faced something that many people would fear, having come from that place, what would you say, what's one of the most powerful, or if there's more than one, please share, the most powerful lesson or lessons that you learned from actually being in that place that many people would even fear and then getting out of it?
Yes, you have to know that you are worth all that you desire, and you are more powerful than the blocks in your life. That is a key factor. Oftentimes we don't chase after our goals or chase after our dreams because of that fear that we're feeling, or because we feel like we're not good enough. But you have to embody and just say it out loud. Say it right now, actually. I am worth it. I am more powerful than the blocks in my life, and I'm fully capable of achieving all that I desire. So you have to believe that within yourself, and then you have to set the intentions on what you want for your life. Like for me, it was I wanted to walk. And then once you do that, you have to put the action behind it.
Yes.
Shift your mindset and then put the action. I was in therapy 7 days a week for weeks up on end from 8 a.m. to 5 a.m. or 5 p.m. And it was painful. It was a struggle. It was hard work, but I knew what I was fighting for and I was willing to put in the work to get there.
Faith without works is dead.
Yes.
That is so good. So I have tons more questions for you. I feel like all of y'all just need to come back for a part 2. But how can we get connected with you for those that want to learn more about your story and take those next steps to work with you?
Feel free to visit my website, lindsayvertner.com. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Lindsay Vertner. I love new friends, so please reach out and connect.
I love it. So we're going to take one final short break. Lindsay will be coming back with our final thoughts. Our next guest coming up, Liliana, is going to help you holistically. So now that you have found your voice, you have gotten your strength, which is so incredible because that is your whole story, Lindsay, to literally step back up, to get up and step out. And then we're just going to wrap it up by how to pull it all in together holistically in every area of your life. So don't go anywhere. Now, my challenge to you, if you want to join the conversation, is to follow what Lindsay just told us. Just comment, I am worth it. Declare that, speak that, say that. And when we come back, we will be bringing our final guest in the Be Inspired Cafe today. We'll be right back.
Get your copy of my all-new book, Finished, where you can transform your life and get projects done in as little as 7 days. Go to ericalatrice.com.
Welcome back. So I want y'all to clap it up. If you're watching live, I need some live energy in our comments for our final guest in the Be Inspired Cafe today. She is such a sweet spirit, and I can just say that even though we've never really met officially, but I know that her message is one that's going to encourage you and inspire you to step out today. And that's what today's show is all about, getting uncomfortable and stepping out. So welcome with me into the Be Inspired Cafe, our final powerhouse of the day, Liliana. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
All is well. So Liliana, we've been talking about finding our voice. We've been talking about stepping out. And I know that you have done something where you've decided to share your story. You've decided to take a leap, even in being here today. So tell us just a little bit about why you feel it's important to start speaking out and sharing your experience.
Well, I almost actually canceled today because of other people's voices trying to break me down and discourage me. But I chose to continue on because I feel that the things that I have to say will be able to help at least one person, to get out of a negative situation. So, yeah, I don't know. So I decided to share my story ultimately because of my mental mindset wasn't where it should have been. I was in a dark place, and being able to overcome the fear of leaving a relationship that no longer suited me, along with my girls, and being able to overcome, like I said, a negative mindset, being able to so it was a relationship that I was in where he ended up cheating on me. We were engaged, and ultimately he had an affair, and I became so obsessed with this other woman that I was projecting my own insecurities onto her. And once I realized, it was like a light bulb that switched, where I became, I'm sorry. I woke up one day and I realized that it was all of my insecurities being projected onto her. And in reality, she was who I was like 6-7 years ago.
Wow.
And I never forgave myself for that. And because I never forgave myself for my mistakes that I've made in my past, I hated her. Right. And so what I did, I started thinking about all of the things that I loved about her, along with so now I no longer have judgment towards her. I have no ill feelings towards her or anybody else, and being able to have no judgment when I see somebody or anybody. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense. And actually, I was just talking about this because whenever we're in a place where we want to see, I use blessings all the time because everyone's always, whatever they want to call it, success, blessings, we want overflow, we want great things to happen to us. But when life happens, sometimes the biggest blocks that keep us from that, it can be the negative energy, the anger, the frustration, the unforgiveness. And I actually just talked about this, I think yesterday on yesterday's episode, where it's in the forgiving, especially of our enemies, especially of the people that have tried to, that can feel toxic. When we forgive them, we're literally opening ourselves up to be forgiven. So I think that's powerful. And what I love about what you have going on right now, Liliana, you are surrounded by quotes. You're surrounded by just well, connect with her on social media. You have now surrounded yourself with those things, like holistically, to nurture yourself, to come up higher and to make better decisions from who you were 6, 7, 8, 10 years ago. So tell us, how was it when you made that decision, or what was like that final straw for you when you did decide that now I'm going to start nurturing myself and doing those things that serve me to be a better person?
So I am the type of person that does not give up easily. And I still wanted to work through the relationship. And even despite him saying that he wanted to do nothing, so continuing to still have this affair, I still tried that. Still being a stay-at-home mom, taking care of the 2 girls while he did whatever he wanted to do, because I was wanting to do everything I could to make this work, because I didn't want to have any type of regrets down the road, thinking like, what could I have done to made it work? And then I just woke up one morning and my girls came to my mind, like, what am I doing? This isn't the life that I want them to have. I don't want them to grow up in this environment to think that this type of behavior and relationship is okay for them to have, because ultimately you are going to find your partner, like your parents are going to eventually be your partner. And I didn't want that for them. I wanted to provide them with a happier, a more positive lifestyle. So ultimately it was my girls.
And I love that you have that behind you, my why, my girls. And I love that, because I think sometimes if we can really put it into perspective, that was actually my thought when I left a very toxic situation. I looked at my children and I thought about the example and the legacy that I wanted to leave, and had to ask that hard question: are my actions, or what I'm accepting, is that lining me up with the legacy that I desire to leave? So Liliana, we are wrapping up. I'm coming back on for our final thoughts. But how can we get connected with you? And what's that one thing that you would hope the audience would leave knowing just from hearing your story?
So you can find my Facebook if you search in the search bar Liliana Lee, and then my Instagram is manifesting_my_future. But to know that I'm not perfect, far from perfect, won't ever pretend I'm perfect, and I will admit the flaws that I have, and I feel that my social media always projects like my truths. So I'm always trying to be a better version of myself.
I love it. So we're going to take a non-break. We're going to jump straight into our final thoughts. And Liliana, I just commend you, because I know a lot of times we can feel like everything has to be perfect. I'm going to tell my story once, I have it all together. I'm sitting on the skyrise with my tea or coffee, whatever you voted for today. And that's when I'm going to share. But it's in these moments where we're going through, or right on the other side, that we can reach back and help other people. And then when you find yourself, because I feel like we are either in a storm, coming out of a storm, or into a storm. So when you find yourself on the other side, it pays forward. It's going to help other people come back. So we're going to wrap up with our top tips of the day. final thoughts, actually. And I'm bringing back up Lindsay and Galit, and we were just going to wrap up because your stories were so similar. And this is something that I found very interesting, that Galit, you lost your voice. Lindsay, you lost your voice and your ability literally to step out. So what are some of those things? What are your takeaways now that you would hope anyone watching today's episode will walk away with? And
now we're each waiting for the other to start. We're so polite, aren't we?
Yes.
Usually people are like, me. We're like, go. Please, go ahead, Lindsay.
So I would definitely say that you have to focus on the positives. You can't focus on the positives and the negatives at the same time. And it takes the same amount of energy to be miserable as it does to be happy. So you have to choose wisely. Either way it goes, it takes work. When you're negative and complaining about all the things you don't have, you're only attracting more of that lack into your life. And that takes work to be miserable. But at the same time, it takes work to be happy. And when you focus on the positives, when you're grateful for everything, when you're grateful for what is and what is not, it attracts more abundance into your life. It attracts more things to be grateful for. And you can't make logical solutions from emotional places. So when you're focused on the positives and you set your intentions, it's easier to see creative solutions to your problems.
So good. I'm like, yes, gratitude.
I'm like, amen.
Celebration, mic drop, mic kick. I'm going to bring Liliana back up as well. So let's see. Let's start with you, Galit. What's that final thought that you would hope the audience would
My final thought is everybody's waiting for the perfect time to try something, to do something, and you've got to let that go. And what I want for every person that's watching is I don't want you to wake up when you're 80 years old and look back on your life and regret all the things you didn't do, because it always happens when you finally can't do it, don't have the energy, don't have the ability, don't have the bandwidth, whatever it might be. So do one thing, just one thing differently today, and add one new thing every single day. And you're going to see this domino effect that can be so beautiful. And when you do that, everything can change. And more than anything, what all the ladies have said is you deserve it. You deserve it. You're worth it. And you deserve the life that you desire. So let's start creating it.
Amen. You said something there. I always say this. You are the youngest that you will ever be for the rest of your life right now. So lest we wait until we're 95, why not use this energy that we have today? And Liliana, what's that final thought that you have for us?
If you're in a negative state, to just continue to pray and to try to think as positive as you can. Because that's the only reason why I feel like I'm still here.
Wow. So hashtag good vibes only. I feel like we could sum this up because every person standing before you today on this show has overcome something significant, and you all have the nerves to just be here like smiling and giving out encouragement after going through your own situation. So if y'all can just give me a drum roll, we're going to wrap up with our giveaway of the day. Our winner for today's giveaway, who shared her feedback. Today, she is standing out, encouraging breast cancer survivors to share their stories. You never know who you're going to inspire by being authentic and vulnerable. Congrats to you, Kim. If you can just email me at info@ericalatrice.com to get your 30-day giveaway today. And that is our show. Literally, y'all need to come back because I have so much to talk to you about. But thank you all for tuning in. If you're watching, now is a great time to share. Tell a friend. You can stay connected with me across social media at Erica Empowers. If this inspired you, let us know how. And as I'm always telling you, it doesn't matter what happened last week, 10 years ago, 5 years ago. Go out and make today amazing because it is absolutely a choice. Take care.
For more inspiration, visit us online at ericalatrice.com.